welcome to episode 29, Kira, 29 of Star Trek Sunday. So exciting. I'm one of your hosts, Stu Jackson.
And I'm Kira C. Georgeson.
Yay! How are you doing, Kira?
I'm really good, thank you, Stu. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I always have to think. Do you know?
Are you sure?
Do you know? It's always that thing, and I don't know. Like as British, I think we're particularly guilty of this, where people say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And it's like this stock. Yeah, I'm fine. I like to answer it properly. I like to, consider my answer.
I usually do answer properly, and then people look really taken aback if I tell them actually I'm having a bit of a crap day. They'll be like, I didn't actually want to know. Stop talking to me, you weirdo. And I'm just like, don't ask if you don't want to know.
Absolutely. And yes, and we're joined today by a number of people who want to know genuinely how we are. Ben, Captain Quinn, Ed, and my nephew Sam. Hello, everyone. Ben says Kira Torres in the house. Yeah, you are absolutely nailing it with that cosplay today, Kira.
Thank you.
Although
you know what? I put this on
skew with.
It's on a single pin, so it literally just turns round and round, and I can't stop it. It does what it wants. Okay, it's not up to me. It's got a mind of its own.
A glue gun and a drawing pin, and an extra backing.
Yeah, or I could just nail it to my skin.
Yeah. Staple. Get a big staple gun. Yeah, that'll do.
Permanent com badge. I'll never have to worry about it ever again. Apart from cutting holes in my clothes to put everything on. Yeah, I literally whacked this cosplay on so fast. I drove home. I had to drive back from Swindon, because I had a job in Swindon this morning. Drove back, and there was so much traffic. I didn't get home until like 3 o'clock. So I was like, oh my god, quick, put a costume on, put some makeup on, and then I was like, that will do. So I'm glad it looks good.
It really does. And speaking of com badges, I got my my fancy one from
from Belux.
Yeah, from Belux. Thank you. I'd forgotten. I actually got two of the Belux ones, so this is one of this. Probably my favourite one. So this is probably going to be my default badge from here on, I think.
They're absolutely stunning, and I'm so glad that me wearing that badge has like spurred loads of other people to go and buy them, because loads of people off my TikTok were asking where I got them from, and Brittany will be so pleased to know that so many people love her work. Like it's just, it's really
absolutely
nice.
Lots of people coming up with hints and tips in the chat about cosplaying. Dual pins and strong magnets work. Drawing pin and extra clip works for Ed for Reggie's homemade rank badge. Ben says, hey, it could simply have been a subspace anomaly. Why not indeed? And Quinn for pips. Yeah, again, drawing pins, those brass drawing pins and backings that you can get.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah. Because B'Elanna is not actually a member of Starfleet, she's the Marquis, they have a different badge. And I don't actually have the right one for the Marquis members of Voyager, but I don't even know where you can get that from.
Enlisted badges. They are about. And you don't see them very often though, because they're not that sought after. So supply and demand and all that. But if you know someone with a 3D printer, there's probably an STI out there. Is it STI or STL? No, STI is sexually transmitted infection, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like,
you don't want one of them.
I'm not going to mail order an STI, thank you very much.
Yeah, you don't want one of those.
Can you 3D print me an STI? Cheers. Thanks, friend.
Yeah. Yes. Ed has shouted at me in chat, it's STL. STL.
What does STL even mean?
No idea. Star Trek lives. Why not? No idea. Anyway, gosh, well, shall we crack on about today's episode and talk about what we're talking about?
Tell us what we're doing, Stu.
We are going to be reviewing one of my favourite Enterprise episodes, the episode Stigma.
And then following on from that, quite aptly, we'll be doing a deep dive into the Denobulan race.
Yes, we'll be paying a visit to the Divine Treasury, and in fact we'll be looking at 4 items today in the Divine Treasury, but kind of as a collective.
That is
Nothing
divine.
To do with the Borg, though.
And then we will be finishing off with the latest Star Trek news.
Very, very exciting. So I'm really, really keen to get in and talk about Stigma because, like I say, it is one of my favourites. So let's just dive in, shall we? So Enterprise Stigma was released on the 5th of February 2003. So my goodness, that's almost 5 years ago. It is the 14th episode of season 2. It feels like 5 years. Literally, I remember Enterprise coming out and like being no different to who I am now. And no, I was quite different. Anyway, that's a whole other. That was pretty nervous breakdown. But yeah, it doesn't feel long ago. But you were 8. You were 8. My God. Yep. Anyway, yes, it's the 14th episode of season 2. Other things happening in the Trekverse whilst you were 8. Nemesis is released in the UK a month before, on the 3rd of January. And the Deep Space Nine DVD Region 1s were released throughout that year.
Ooh.
So you must have grown up like with just DVDs and not knowing the joy of videotapes tangling up in your VCR, or
no, we had tons of VHSs. Yeah, because I remember when I was a kid, my favourite, I had what's it called, The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe on VHS. And my sister, who was a toddler at the time, put a Weetabix on top of the VHS, squished it, and then put it into the VCR. And we didn't find it for ages, and we couldn't figure out why it wasn't working. And then we got it out, and it was just like covered in dried up, encrusted Weetabix. Like, oh, it was disgusting.
Well, that probably would have been fine if it was a top loader.
What's that?
Top loader were the original VHSs that came out. Literally, as it says, you press, like, basically it had these big, long, clunky pegs of buttons, and you clunk the eject button down, and the whole top sort of lifts up, and you take the VHS out. Top loader, yeah.
It wasn't one of those.
That's it. Ben Kerner has said he was 24 when Stigma came out. That's much closer to me, but still a nipper. How old was I? Hang on. No, I'd been... I was 27 in 2000, so I'd have been 30. Gosh, yeah. Yeah, there we go. Gosh, 18 years ago. Frightening.
I actually would have turned 9. 2 weeks and a day after this episode came out, I would have turned 9.
Wow.
So
makes all the difference.
Yeah, so in this episode, T'Pol is diagnosed with a potentially fatal neurological disease as a result of a mind meld. Actually, she's not diagnosed in this episode, is she? Because they say that it's a year since she's been diagnosed.
Well, no. Yes and no. She's diagnosed by the Vulcans.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
But she already knows, yeah.
Yeah. So meanwhile, one of Phlox's wives visits Enterprise and becomes very interested in Trip. And I can't blame her, I have to say.
Well, I could blame him because, it should have been responsive. She was a very attractive lady.
But
Yes.
I didn't quite understand his old-fashioned sort of approach to that situation. Because I thought the human culture by that point was a bit more liberated.
It's a funny thing with Enterprise because they wanted to bridge the gap between that futuristic, we're all very liberated and understanding and tolerant and all the rest of it, and society today.
Yeah, that's a
They
good point.
wanted to make it more, say today, as they were like 20 years ago, under Rick Berman, even, so kind of even worse, as they were 40 years ago.
To be fair, when you put it like that, that does make sense.
Yeah, so that's what I think they were going for. It's not, I mean, and you see that whole thing with Archer throughout the entire of Enterprise. He's much more modern day today in his outlook. But yes, Captain Quinn's absolutely right. We're talking about top-loading video machines. We did not take a drink for digression.
Digress so hard, we don't even realise we're doing it anymore.
I know. Maybe we should rename the show Star Trek Sunday Digressions.
Love that. Should we do bingo?
Let's do bingo. I enjoyed doing bingo. I didn't get a very high score at all because it just wasn't that sort of episode. But what score did you get, Kira?
Well, 4, 5. I got 9, but 2 of them are very tenuous.
Right. I wonder if your tenuous ones are the ones I didn't get then because I only got 7.
Oh.
I was really being careful. Well, let's start with the top line.
I got one.
I also got one. We both got Technobabble, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yes.
I can tick that off every episode without even having to watch it. So.
Oh, I always wait till it's happened.
Yeah, I do make sure it has happened.
Same with the over-explanation. I always wait till it's actually happened, just in case. Just in case.
Just in case there's that one episode where they don't babble or explain anything.
Yeah,
There
which
must
might
be
happen.
one. There must be one
happen
episode.
one day.
Maybe we should do another T-shirt competition. If someone can find an episode with no technobabble and no over-explanation, they can win a prize as well.
Without either, yeah. If it's got one, doesn't count. That sounds like a good idea. Second row then. How many did you get? I also got 2.
I got the first one. I got was aliens are a metaphor for human issues.
I also got that one.
I mean, that's the whole point of this episode. It's just one big metaphor, so you kind of have to tick that off.
Really is. You're not kidding. And the second one?
What did you get?
I got conference room conversation.
Yeah, that's what I got.
When the Vulcans are talking to Phlox and T'Pol.
Yeah, they do that quite a few times throughout the episode.
They do, but there's the one scene when they announce that they know T'Pol's got Pinar syndrome.
Yeah, there's that. That's the main one. Yeah, but there's another couple. Because what I do, I watch it on Netflix, and then I open it up on my phone, and I do like a high-speed scrub through the whole episode to see if I've missed any conference room conversations or turbo lift conversations. And as I was scrubbing through, there was there was 3 scenes in a conference room.
Wow. That's. I think once I've ticked it off, I kind of forget about that. Looking for. That.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, cool. So the middle row. How many did you get?
3. I got 3, but one of them is up for debate.
Okay. Well, I got 2. So I think we've probably both got aliens almost exactly like humans.
Yes. And actually, you know what? The Vulcans were more similar to humans in this episode than I've ever seen them in any other episode. Because they're assholes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole theme for Enterprise as a whole. Vulcans were dicks. completely. Yeah. I got American culture is human culture.
Yeah. I tell you why I ticked this one off. Because when Archer is saying to the Vulcans, well, where I come from, everyone deserves a hearing. I was like, well, that's quite like an American concept. There's a lot of countries on our planet who don't do that.
That's a really, really good point. Do you know what? I completely missed that. And I almost missed ticking it. It was only right at the very end when it's Phlox and his wife and Trip, and Trip's obviously all uncomfortable, and he goes off, and Phlox goes humans.
Yes, that's
and the whole monogamy thing is treated like it's a human thing. No, there are plenty of polygamous cultures out there, and plenty of polygamous people in our own culture.
Absolutely, 100%.
So, yeah.
That's a very good one.
So that was mine.
So the third one I got on this row, so the ones I'm sure of I highlight in green, and the ones I'm not sure of I highlight in yellow. So this one's in yellow because it's expendable crew member, but not from the point of view of Starfleet, but from the Vulcans' point of view. Because they seem to treat everyone with the syndrome as if they are expendable because they don't want to cure them. So it seemed like furthering their own ideals and prejudices was more important than saving someone's life.
So they're willing to sacrifice to Pol, making her expendable from their perspective. Ooh, I totally get that. It's whether it counts as an expendable crew member because she's an expendable Vulcan.
Yeah.
Well, Ben likes it, so that counts then.
Thanks, Ben.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's I see why that's a little bit tenuous, but no, that's an excellent way of looking at it. I mean, I didn't even see her as expendable because to me that doesn't make her expendable, but
yeah,
way to go with empathizing with the Vulcans there. Cool.
Yeah, you've got to think outside the box if you want to win bingo, Stu.
So it seems. Fourth row.
I got one on this row. Again, it's a yellow one.
Okay, I didn't get any. So what's your tenuous one for this?
I don't think it counts, but I highlighted human gets frisky with alien just because there was that like footsie scene under the table, and I was like, oh,
yes.
Does it count? Does it not? But I don't think it does. I don't think it does count because Trip was very much like, I'm not doing it. But so close.
Do you know what I yeah, it did cross my mind, that one, and I think a lot depends on what we are counting as frisky. Is a bit of flirtation being frisky, or is it full-blown sex?
Yeah, I'm not sure either, because like if you get frisked by the police, they're just touching you. You don't actually have sex with you. But yeah, it's up to interpretation, really, isn't it? Frisky.
It is. I mean, certainly when we started doing this, I had in mind it means sex. You know.
Okay. All right. Well, let's say from now on it has to be actual sex and nothing else counts, and that way we're on the same page.
We're grown-ups. We can handle talking about these things. So yes. So from here on, it changes from human gets frisky with alien to human has sex with alien. Right.
Deal.
Yes. Okay. You heard it here first, folks. And on the bottom line then, I imagine that we've both got the same here because we've both got 2, unless my maths is terrible.
Yeah. Over explanation, as always.
Of course. And aliens are a metaphor for a human demographic.
Yeah. This metaphoric episode has to be done.
Yeah, and there's multiple examples of that in this episode as well.
Yeah.
So what did you think of the episode?
I loved it. I really, really enjoyed this episode. The obviously the metaphor for, you know, AIDS, HIV, and that is not subtle. It's quite open about what it's talking about, but in a really, really good way. And I thought the way they wrote to Pol for this episode was actually just fantastic. The fact that she, you know, she had a very valid reason as to why she had this disease, but she absolutely refused to use that as an excuse because it would perpetuate the stigma, the prejudice, the hatred towards the subculture. You know, people who are born with that ability, they can't choose whether they have it or not. So yeah, I really, really loved the way she was written. It made me really respect her and the writers and whoever chose that particular theme to go with. In terms of her not wanting to feed into the prejudice, I really, really loved it. Yeah, and I love Phlox's wife. I was mad at Trip. I was like, come on, man, she's gorgeous.
Isn't she though? Good old Diesel. Is it Diesel? It is Diesel, isn't it?
Diesel.
Diesel, yeah, like the fuel.
I thought it was Feasel.
Feasel, yes, Feasel. Sorry, thinking Diesel. I didn't sound quite right.
You know what though?
Yeah, so...
As much as I love her and I love Phlox, I hate that smile. It is so creepy. I can't look at it. It's like something from a horror film. I have to look away.
The Denobulan super smile.
I don't like it.
Well, it was designed to be unsettling. It was supposed to be unsettling. You know, just because humans smile to a certain extent.
But when we smile as well, our mouths go out. They don't go like up. Like it goes in a V shape, doesn't it?
Well, we do with the cheeks.
But we're like this, and theirs is like this.
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's wrong. They're disgusting.
So with Feasel, it'd be like, no, I'm going to sleep with you, but you're not allowed to smile. I'm going to make sure it's disappointing for you. I mean, not all of us need to try, of course. But there we go. Hello, Random Gotham.
It's Rick.
Hello, lovely to see you.
Hi, Rick. Welcome.
And Paul is here as well. Tea Party Fox, hello, good to see you. Thank you very much about the beard. The beard's probably going on Tuesday. I'm doing some filming for a series I did a while back where they only wanted me to have sideburns, but it's probably longer than I would normally have it, to be fair. I just haven't had a reason to take it off. So there we go. So Random Gotham says almost never off on Sundays, so this works out today.
Oh, hi Rick. I'm so glad you got the day off. It's such a nice surprise.
There we go. Fantastic. So yeah, so coming back on the whole T'Pol thing, how did you feel about the resolution there? Because that was a bit left me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, it felt like the kind of resolution that our society had in like the 80s and 90s, like, you know, in terms of the AIDS crisis and stuff like that. But it then left room for development and for them to sort of catch up to the, you know, where they are when we see them in the original series and beyond.
Sorry, I was thinking more that specifically the resolution about why T'Pol gets to stay on the Enterprise.
Oh, what? Just because it was forced upon her?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, again, that's the kind of a negative way of dealing with that situation, and it does leave room for improvement for the Vulcans. But again, that's, you see them beginning on that journey because there's what's his name, the guy that is a member of the doctors group who is part of the subculture. That
I can't remember his name, but yeah.
I can't remember, but the fact that he was there and he obviously until they realized he was part of the subculture, they really respected him and valued his opinion. So I feel like that kind of thing is usually a turning point for people like that. And that's when they start to think, actually, we don't need to live like this. We can be better. We can do better. So obviously, there's a lot for the Vulcans to do to catch up to where they are when we see them in later series. But it felt like that was the beginning. And it's not perfect, but
it's not. And his outing the way T'Pol got Penars against her wishes. I was serious. I mean, because obviously we're also talking, a metaphor for sexual assault with the whole thing about how she gets Penars in the first place. And he, I mean, okay, it's not the same as sexual assault, but he's done a kind of taken a similar attitude. He's like, well, I know what's best for you, and I'm going to disregard your wishes, and
it's a violation.
It is a violation. Thank you. That's I was skirting around, but because it's a very delicate
and it was
area,
very
obviously.
uncomfortable. And obviously he had good intentions, but it was wrong. And I'm just glad that the writers didn't give that role to Archer, because they were the people who knew about it and who could have said something. And I think if Archer had been the one to do that, I would have lost all respect for him. So
yeah, it
had to be him, because they couldn't make their captain do something like that.
Yeah, and I can imagine that was maybe in the original draft, that it was Archer who said, and then in the writers' room they said, oh, maybe not. Maybe someone else has to do this.
I agree with that. I think it was. You're right.
I totally get that. A lot of comments in the chat for the adverts for HIV in the 80s, and Captain Quinn suggested that, Keira, you might want to go back and look at those at some point if you get a chance. No, you're very busy at the moment, but
I'd be interested in that
and share your thoughts. But yeah, and Ben says, like, of the resolution for T'Pol. Yeah, one of too many quick wrap ups, but at least it keeps her, keeps her there. It was kind of that midpoint when Star Trek was moving away from episodic, but they were still sort of almost episodic to serialization.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It does feel like quite a lot of Star Trek episodes do that. They have a very meaty episode, and they're like, oh shit, we've run out of time, let's wrap it up, come on guys. And it's kind of like it's all tied up very quickly at the end, and whether there is a resolution, it feels a little bit loose.
Yeah, it does get there. Shall we talk about some not so trivial trivia?
Let's do it.
See what I did there? Okay. So this is a follow-up to the episode Enterprise Fusion, where T'Pol first experiences a mind meld. And the matter of T'Pol's illness is followed up later on as well in the episode Enterprise Kirshara.
Right. Amazing. In 2002, Viacom, the owners of Paramount and Enterprise, mandated all of its TV series would devote at least one episode to the subject of AIDS awareness. Enterprise's response, aired in early 2003, was this episode. In the 1980s, there were many religious zealots who believed that AIDS was God's punishment for male homosexuality, and even secular types referred to AIDS as the cure, not the disease. Even Archer challenged one of the Vulcans upon learning of T'Pol's being recalled by asking, is it the disease you don't approve of, or how she got it?
On a lighter note, this is the first appearance of Denobulans other than Phlox in the series, and is the third time we get to see that wonderful, wonderful Denobulan super smile. This time, of course, from a female.
Lovely. The Vulcan pad is a reuse of the Bajoran pad from Deep Space Nine, and the scanner is a modified, then modern computer scanner.
Still modern. Still modern in my book. One of the written languages seen on Dekendi 3 is a reuse of the Vidian language as written in Voyager. And the Dekendi ship that carried Feasel, it is Feasel, yeah, absolutely right, was previously seen as a Ferengi vessel in the Enterprise episode Acquisition.
They love
recycling.
reusing. Yeah, reuse, recycle.
Well, I mean, it costs a lot of money to. Obviously, we were talking physical models in some cases. I think Enterprise was more CGI, but it was still really expensive to build.
Yeah, and it's always going to be. It's always going to be more cost effective to repaint a set or reuse a language model than it is to create a whole new one from scratch.
Yes.
Just spray it over. There you go.
Yes.
That's it. Well, not a lot of trivia this week.
Not a lot, but I think, generally speaking, for most episodes, there's not a great deal. But we have done a couple of like two-parters and movies where there's loads. Random Gotham says it's fun to see the same props reused for many episodes. I would say yes, it depends on the prop, because like I'm really big on the ships, so I like more ships basically. Yes. Oh, and Captain Quinn said they're redoing Lost Boys, speaking of recycling, and I hate them for that because Lost Boys should not be remade. I'd be all over a reboot, but not a remake. Anyway.
See, I like reboots if it's like a sequel type thing, but remaking something that doesn't need to be remade. Lost Boys is an amazing film.
It is, very upset about that.
Have a drink. That was definitely a digression.
That's it. Cool.
Right. Deep dive on the Denobulans.
Yes. Let's
go. So, as of the mid-2150s, the number of Denobulan inhabitants on their homeworld totaled 12 billion, all of whom shared one single continent. What the heck? Consequently, living space was at a premium, and Denobulan culture had come to embrace close communal lifestyles. This habitation arrangement was due to choice rather than necessity.
And speaking of family relations, those on Denobula could be extremely complicated. Unlike Klingons, Denobulans didn't group themselves into houses. They typically preferred to be among large groups, and they found solitude uncomfortable. However, Denobulans, well, at least male Denobulans, were uncomfortable being touched by persons they were not intimate with. Denobulans were typically polyamorous, where a man typically had 3 wives, and each wife would have 3 husbands, and this created extremely large and very, very complex extended families.
In addition, Denobulan marriages were not exclusive, and Denobulans who were married could be intimate with anyone they chose. The females emitted powerful pheromones during their mating season, and male Denobulans often became combative during this time, and mating could require medical supervision. Denobulan males were more inhibited than Denobulan women, and often found the idea of disrobing in front of others to be very uncomfortable. A typical romantic overture for a female Denobulan to give would be to offer their prospective mate a rose petal bath, which is mentioned in this episode. Dr. Jeremy Lucas once observed that given the comparatively elaborate complexities of the Denobulan's mating cycle, they made humans seem like single-cell organisms, which is quite funny, really. In Phlox's opinion, however, any man would be a fool to ignore the romantic overtures of a healthy Denobulan woman. He also highly valued the complexity of Denobulan mating practices, being of the opinion that 2 people were insufficient for a proper Denobulan marriage. Though a Denobulan woman could feasibly marry only a single Denobulan man, a Denobulan woman who had only a single Denobulan husband could take his name as her surname.
Very complex. A traditional greeting for Denobulan lovers began with approaching each other face to face, so that each individual was not quite touching the other. The Denobulans then smelled the other's scent and finally parted. Denobulans were renowned for having an abundance of patience as well. This extreme practice could reflect on their marital interactions, so that they were quite content to spend a considerable length of time apart.
Denobulans did not have conversations with each other while eating together, as they considered it a waste of time. Denobulans generally ate meat, including Denobulan sausage. They invested much effort into hunting Denobulan lemurs, as Denobulan delicacy was the kidneys from such an animal. Captain Jonathan Archer, in conversation with Dr. Phlox, accused the Denobulans of being insensitive due to them eating the lemurs, which closely resembled Terran dogs. Archer thereafter gave Phlox an apology for having accused the Doctor's entire species, though Phlox clarified that he couldn't speak on behalf of the other Denobulans, despite personally accepting the apology on his own behalf.
So if Phlox offers you a Denobulan sausage, it may not be a euphemism. Speaking of anatomy, anatomically, Denobulans were considerably more complex than humans. Denobulans had prominent facial ridges running down either side of the forehead to the cheeks, an enlarged brow ridge under a high receding hairline, a vertical crevice in the centre of the forehead, and a ridged chin. They had ridges on their back along the spine. Their toenails were dark brown and yellow striped, and Denobulans had to trim their toenails at least once a week due to the nails' extremely rapid growth rate. They also had, and you'll like this one, Keira, because the smile thing, Denobulans also had very long tongues, and they used tongue scrapers. So there's that one scene where he's scraping the tongue down.
Oh, wild. I actually feel sick now. Denobulan females had very potent pheromones that the males could sense, and they released them when they were romantically interested in someone, and presumably during their mating season. Denobulan males were known to become violent during the mating season.
Denobulans have a unique ability to enlarge their faces. This was an instinct for when they felt threatened. They could also display the unusually wide smile for humanoids.
Denobulans normally require very little sleep, but they did hibernate for a sleep cycle of 5 to 6 days each year, although 2 days were sufficient as a bare minimum. If a Denobulan was nearing a sleep cycle, they might experience bouts of dizziness as a consequence. Deep hibernation resulted in the sleeping Denobulan becoming unresponsive to noises, regardless of how loud they were, but they could be awakened if a particular drug was delivered intravenously. If a Denobulan was awakened prematurely, the results could be somewhat unpredictable. Hibernating Denobulans, if woken, appeared extremely disorientated and confused, with oddly high-pitched voices, and had difficulty maintaining normal motor skills and cognitive functions.
Denobulans believed originally that they were the only intelligent species in the galaxy until the Basari made first contact with them. This incident came as quite a surprise to the Denobulans, many of whom took a while to accept the truth that they were not alone in the galaxy. And though it was something of a difficult process, the Denobulans were eventually forced to reevaluate their thinking. A bit like humans.
Denobulans fought several wars against the... Is that Antarian?
Antarian, yeah.
Species, the last of which occurred during the late 19th century. The Denobulans demonized the enemy, and their battle tactics killed 20 million Antarians. Both sides made faceless enemies of each other, and although most had outgrown the past hatred, some Denobulans still held a grudge against them as of the 2150s. Holding grudges is not healthy.
It's not at all. Again, that's a metaphor for human values right there. with those episodes. I love the Denobulan. I mean, I love the whole world building thing, as I keep saying. And Denobulans in particular seems so. There's so much delved into with them. Absolutely brilliant. It's one of the reasons I chose a Denobulan captain originally for the Star Trek Adventures game that we play. And Ben Kerno says when he eventually gets to play Star Trek Adventures, may have a Vulcan Denobulan as a mixed race. Would that be? That'd be interesting.
Oh, because I feel like they're quite different in terms of like the emotional side of things.
There is a line in Enterprise where Phlox is talking I think T'Pol says it to Phlox that Denobulans and Vulcans are sexually compatible. It might be the one where T'Pol artificially gets her Ponfar.
Oh, I've not seen that.
Back which one it is, but that's definitely in an episode. So yeah, so that would be quite interesting.
If I ever force myself to watch all of Enterprise, I'll let you know.
Well, maybe we'll do a review of that particular episode at one time when we do a special on the Ponfar.
Oh my god, yeah, we could definitely do that.
Oh, maybe for Valentine's Day.
Oh my god, Ponfar night.
Ponfar night.
What's that? There's the episode of Voyager where they find the species 8472. I've got that planet where they've made their own version of Starfleet, and they have like a Ponfar night at the nightclub, don't they? And they're just like
oh yes, I remember that one. And there's that one that tries to seduce I can't even say words now. Tries to seduce Chakotay.
Oh yeah,
played by Kate. Oh, forgotten her name now. But yes, that's one that'll send me to the Hornibrig every time.
There's a lot of good episodes on the Ponfar actually, because one of my favorite episodes, this is such a guilty pleasure and it's so bad but so good, is the one where what's his name on Voyager gets his Ponfar and then like accidentally mind melds with B'Elanna and gives it to her, and she's like on that planet trying to get Tom Paris to sleep with her, and he's like being such a gentleman. He's like, I can't, you're not in your right frame of mind, I can't do it. And I'm just like, just do it, Tom.
No, he was absolutely right.
No, he was right.
Because she was under the influence. Yeah.
No, definitely. No, he was in the right, but I'm like definitely with B'Elanna on that one. The tension is so good.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a good episode. Definitely. Right. Ponfar special coming to a Valentine's Day near you soon. Heard it here first. Vorik, thank you, Captain Quinn.
Yeah.
That was him, Vorik. There we go. Cool. Shall we take a dip? I'm afraid I've got no Ponfar in the Divine Treasury, but shall we take a trip there anyway?
Yes. Show us what you've got.
So, this week we're looking at Playmates stuff. Now these aren't all the entire Playmates collection I've got some ships as well. In fact, I did one of the ships on a previous episode, and I'll do the other one on a future episode. But in terms of little devices that we carry around with us for cosplaying, there is a TOS communicator, which normally when the batteries work it makes a noise and these lights flash. There's an amber, a red and a green, but the batteries have run out, as I discovered just before starting the show. So there we go. But it's a nice little community. It's a bit on the small side. That's the only. It's kind of too really small for cosplay for me. I think it was originally keyring, this one.
That makes sense.
But yeah. But there's that. There is a Type 1 phaser from Next Generation early episodes. It has two noises. There we go. That one, and sliding the battery cover off. And a pulse. As you see, it lights up. Pew pew noises. It has a nice little handy belt clip, so you can hook it on your belt as well. One, I'm glad our friend Matt isn't in the stream today, because he'd probably break this. He has a habit of breaking medical tricorders. That's exactly what this is. It comes with a probe, handily located in the top, and this also makes noises. There we go, and lights up, as you can see, and that noise. This also has a belt clip on the back as well, and this slides up to release the probe.
Oh, I like
The
that.
probe itself doesn't make any noises, which is a shame, because I think that button there would be great for making a noise as you scan someone.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity there. And this one, unfortunately, doesn't work. I bought it secondhand, basically as a non-functioning one. I bought this basically to wear as part of cosplaying, which I've not done yet, out and about. But the old Dolphin Type 2 phaser from more recent. It's basically to go with this uniform that I'm wearing today. Again, it has the old belt clip there, which you'll notice is on an angle, so I don't know how to show this. It would sort of be sat on the belt. If you imagine the belt as a straight line across the screen, it'd be sat on an angle, which makes it a nice little touch rather than it just being vertical or anything. And of course, comfortable because of the curve on it. But yeah, it doesn't work. It should, but it doesn't. I have looked inside, and there's wires broken, and someone's allowed batteries to leak all inside it, and it's made a bit of a mess. But handy for cosplay, because if it got damaged or broken on a cosplay outing, I wouldn't be upset or even lost, as these things do. So that is those. There we go. We've had some comments. Ed said it's nicer than his phaser. Well, I haven't seen your phaser, Ed. You have to show it me. And
Boys always wanting to look at each other's phasers.
Oh, Random Gotham's just ordered a Playmates tricorder from eBay, waiting for it to arrive. Is that the medical tricorder or the standard one? Because I need to get a normal one myself. The communicator's not Bluetooth, I'm afraid, Captain Quinn. I know that there are the Bluetooth ones out there, but yeah, it's not a giveaway, Paul. No. But there we go. Yes, and yes, I will be wearing. Well, I'll certainly be wearing the Dolphin Type 2 phaser when we cosplay in Chicago next year. So there we go. Oh, yours is cardboard. Yes, we have seen it. Yeah, no, that was amazing for a cardboard one. You wouldn't know it to look at it. So there we go. Oh, thank you, Random Gotham, for your subscription. That's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Oh, yay.
Right. Gosh, there we are. That's the Divine Treasury this week.
Does that mean it's time for the news?
It is.
Let's see where we've got to this week. We have first up news from Discovery, which took home an Emmy for outstanding special visual effects in a single episode Sukal. That is absolutely amazing. Well done, Discovery.
Brilliant. Very, very, very well done. Have you got to the episode Sukal yet?
No, I have not. I actually have not progressed. I haven't progressed in my Discovery watch at all because my old housemate made me watch Castle. And so I have been binging Castle like you wouldn't believe. I feel like a traitor for not watching Castle.
Priorities, Keira.
I know. It's not even sci-fi. It's not even sci-fi.
That's why I haven't watched it.
Good though. It's really good. Oh my god, it's amazing.
Digression.
Yeah, sorry.
It was the episode Sukal. Ben, from the 3rd season. Yeah, really good episode. We only have one other bit of news this week. This is from gaming news. Star Trek Online have just launched their latest season. I can tell you this is season 24. And I am so excited. I'm going to have to... I've been neglecting Star Trek Online so much lately. I'm going to have to really throw myself into this one because it is based around the Mirror Universe. One of my favourites. And it is called Reflections. And notably, it sees the return of Chase Masterson voicing Admiral Leeta once again.
Very cool.
Really looking forward to that. But yeah, other than that, there's not been much news. There was we had it in our Discord. So if you're not on the Discord and you're watching, look in the description below. There's a link to it. Do come and jump in and join the discussion throughout the week. I think it was Captain Quint put a link to an announcement about lots of Trek movies coming up. The reason why, so I wanted to address this because I don't think it's really news. It was from one tweet where he said about Star Trek movies, and he used the word, used the plural, but it's kind of, I think it's been taken out of context and it's blown up, and people are saying, "Oh, this means there's going to be lots of movies," but it's pure speculation at this point. I don't think it's, and I think it's taken out of context. But I know that lots of the community are focusing on it, so thought good to mention, but that's why it's not part of the news. There we go. You should have just made it part of the news and then said, but I don't think it's going to come to anything. There we
don't
go.
like fake news on this channel. Real news only.
Well, yeah, I mean, we like our news to be kind of concrete, basically. We don't mind speculating here and there, but if we're saying it's news, proper announcements are the thing. Yeah.
Definitely. Absolutely.
There we go.
Well, it's been fun. It's been a good week,
Yes.
I feel. It was a fantastic episode, and I loved our little deep dive because, as you know, and as our regular watchers would know, I've never really watched Enterprise. I saw a few episodes when it first aired on TV, but I've never watched it all the way through. So, getting to watch an episode and actually concentrate on it and pay attention to it like this was really nice. I really loved this episode. So, thanks for picking it for this week, Stu.
No problem. It's a funny one, Enterprise. It has a lot of problems to it. Berman-esque problems. There's a lot of T'Pol's characterizations and skimpy outfits element that I find cringy, to say the least. But in terms of bridging that gap between the original series and humanity as it is now, I think they did an absolutely excellent job, and visually as well. You look at the controls, and I'm going back like 20 years. I know what things were like now. I know by today's standard it looks probably dated, but you could sort of see that evolution from where we are today to then, in the controls on the bridge and things like that. Yeah. The decon chambers scenes, Captain Quinn, it could have done without those, definitely.
Oh my God, it's just bad, isn't it? Oh, let me rub you in some oil in our underwear, like.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, but and we know why it was done, and it was off the back of the whole Jerry Ryan thing, being brought in for titillation.
Yeah.
I mean, Jerry Ryan's brilliant, and 709's a brilliant character. I don't want to detract, but that is why she was brought in and made to wear that skin-tight outfit.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you know what annoys me when people talk about that outfit, though? There's a lot of people that have this misunderstanding of an interview that Jerry Ryan did, and this is completely off topic, but in Scorpion, where she's wearing the Borg suit, that Borg suit was incredibly tight and very restrictive, and she actually required an oxygen tank while filming because she couldn't breathe properly. Someone, I don't know who or where this stemmed from, but someone misconstrued that and said it was her catsuit that she wore for the whole of Voyager, which isn't true. Her catsuit was she had a corset on underneath, but she could breathe in it fine. So it was the Borg suit that stopped her from breathing, which she only wore for Scorpion, and the rest of the time she was fine. So catsuit.
And that's pretty appalling that they would do that to her, because I mean, we as actors, you know, you don't treat actors like that. You don't put them in something that is going to cause them to pass out. No, that's
it's like we were discussing the costume situation earlier. They'll make a costume and then the actor just has to fit it. There aren't any other options, and they probably made it without considering that element or what her measurements were, and just didn't think about it, because wardrobe department gets their brief and they do it. They don't really think about the actors. It's not their job, which is annoying and stupid and shouldn't happen, but
no, absolutely. And I'm actually quite surprised. I didn't know that she wore a corset under her catsuit.
If you look, you can see the lines, because they wanted her to look like she was still almost like a Borg underneath,
like enhanced, kind of. Well,
yeah.
No, enhanced is the wrong word.
She's got like lines on the corset. Was specifically boned to have the lines, so it looks like she's still got some biomechanical parts. And she also had a chest plate that she wore as well to keep her boobs like separate, so they still looked quite like Borgy.
Lift and separate, yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh no, that's not so bad. I thought you were saying that she had to wear a corset, you know, to slim her down.
No, it wasn't for slimming purposes. It was the corset was specifically for.
Okay, more like a prosthetic then.
Yeah, but it was a corset. It was
yeah. But for purposes, yeah. That's fair. That's not so bad. I was about to go on a rant. But no, I don't get why they need to make everyone so skinny. There was this brilliant thing about Picard, like being bald, and I don't know if it was Roddenberry or Michael Okuda who said it. It was one or the other, I'm pretty sure. Who said something? Somebody said something along the lines of, "Won't they have found a cure for male pattern baldness by the 23rd century?" And by the 23rd century, nobody will care. And I like that. I think, you know, especially as a guy who's going bald, you know, that hits home with me, and I appreciate it. But why not the same for larger people?
This is why I love Tilly, because she's just a normal person.
Yes.
When I first saw her on Discovery, I was like, oh, there's a character who looks like me. She's just a normal human being. She's got spots. She's quite curvy. Like, I can relate.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you get the odd admiral who's on the larger side, but then it's associated with age and status, and you know, which is totally fucking wrong in of itself.
And desk jobs, because admirals just sit around a lot, don't they? Like,
apparently. Yes. There we go. Well, Scotty's an interesting one, because in the original series, of course, he wasn't on the larger side. It was only in the movies as he got much older. But then the alternative, I suppose, was recasting him.
That wouldn't have worked.
No, it wouldn't. Although they might have got someone who could do a Scottish accent. That would have been interesting.
You never know.
I still say with the reboot. I mean, yeah, new Scott is not good. I mean, he's great, but yeah. Anyway, digression. We've digressed. We've digressed
again. That was a big one. That was my fault. Apologies.
No, not at all. Yes, as Phylok said, Scotty had a missing finger. He did. And they tried to shoot it such that you couldn't notice it, but it is in a few shots. Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
There we go.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Well, we'll no doubt be talking about
Wow.
Scotty at some point.
We shall. Absolutely. So yeah, that's everything that we've got for you this week. So please join us next time where we'll be doing a deep dive on communicators.
Ooh, like this one. We will be discussing the original series episode, The Conscience of the King.
We'll also be paying another visit to the Divine Treasury, and if I don't die during my first week of uni, I will try and get some Kira's cosplay for you.
And it's tomorrow. Sorry, hang on. We'll come back on that. And of course, we will be bringing you the regular news from the Trekverse. Uni, yes. It's tomorrow. You start formally, officially, isn't it?
I start university tomorrow, and it starts at 10:30 a.m., which means I don't have to get up early. Thank you, whoever did my timetable.
You're just confirming what everyone who's never been to university thinks student life is.
I can promise you
till midday.
I can promise you it will not be like that for the whole time. I think they're just being nice for induction week. I can say to you, hand on my heart, as soon as they put me on placement, they are going to be giving me 12-hour shifts in a hospital.
Yes, well, it's a very, very intense thing you're doing, and total and utter respect for you for doing it, and I'm sure everyone watching. Well, lots of people have said good luck already.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're all rooting for you and right behind you. But you're still going to be coming back here every week anyway, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. You can't get rid of me that easily.
No. Good. Excellent. Well, what a show.
Well, until next week then, peace and long life.
And live long and prosper. Take care for now. Bye.